Hello. Oh, hello. And welcome to Anything Goes. I hope everyone is doing all right out there tonight. We've got an interesting show tonight. Oh, of course. Sorry, I forgot because you weren't here last week. I've got used to just being abandoned. But here with me is my co-host, Jason.
I was off 1 week. By the way, I just sent you what does have a good image. I'm off for 1 week, and this is the crap I get.
Just left me on my own.
I told you in advance. I wasn't like I didn't show up.
Just anyway, I got over it. I'm here. We made it through.
Well, clearly you didn't get over it.
I need more notice next time. I need more notice next time. And with us, the tall ones, Brent Dill. How you doing, Brent?
A lot better. Feeling good. Ready for tonight.
You've not been so well. You've had kidney stones. You've been busy passing them out.
Yeah.
Whatever that feels like. But he's better now, and that's great.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, those are not pleasant.
No. So tonight, last night I had a quick look on Facebook after the show, and this video I'm so excited. This video jumped out at me, and it's a channel called We Do It Outdoors, and they're claiming that they found a Bigfoot tooth, this one here, and that they'd sent it off, or they'd had it tested somehow, and it's come back saying it's part human, part unknown, so it's got to be Bigfoot. Brent, I sent it to you because I was like, look at this, and you were like, I'm not too sure about this. So I know lots of people must have thought this is the real thing, but this is a great example of maybe how we should just look a bit closer into these kind of claims and videos and just question a little bit of what's going on and not just fall for what we're hearing. So Brent, I'll let you start with, what your first thoughts were and why.
Well, I actually saw that and posted in the Facebook group Coalition and also another hoaxing group, I think it was, because this YouTube channel got brought up before. So it's not like I'm just kind of like retelling what I learned of it and stuff and all the information. The important thing is get information, dig deep. I'm fortunate to be in places where I come across good information that's valid and that kind of checks out. So, that's an important part of an investigation, and is to, keep digging because you might find other sources for stuff. And, I didn't really kind of give it much attention because, with channels like this and videos like this, it just seems more like a parody, kind of like a LARPing type of thing where, I just think it's somebody kind of having fun. I think it's probably a tooth carved out of a deer antler or something. And if you look at the history of the channel, it kind of has like, he goes from thing to thing, and it just seems like Bigfoot, it's his type of thing. And if you look at his other videos, it seems like he's kind of having fun with the subject. And I kind of feel what this is. That's what this is, and very similar to Peter King Dog or Peter, that dude. He's just kind of having fun, and so it's not like he's maliciously out there, being a jerk and trying to pull one over on the Bigfoot community. I just think he's somebody out there just kind of having fun, doing stuff for, just to put content out there on TV or on YouTube and stuff. And So I mean, that's kind of my kind of take on it. And the more you kind of learn about it, the more it's like,
Yeah. What are the red flags on the document that they brought up for you?
Yeah. I mean, it's when you watch the video, it's like he gives himself an out for not having to present the evidence, because in reality, in the real world, when you make a claim like this, if it's outside of the parody type of universe, or it's doing stuff for YouTube or TikTok or whatever you want to do it on. In the real world, it goes through a process, and what he should have done was present the the paperwork, you know, to at least somewhat validate what he's doing. Or, you know, and I get the whole NDA thing, but, you know, you know, in a case like this, I just don't think that really applies to, you know, why he's not presenting the evidence. There was another YouTube channel last year that came out with the same exact thing. They actually had the paperwork. They're like, oh, we have Bigfoot evidence. It's confirmed. It's solved. I sent you the link. And he's like, you know, and all this paperwork's going to go into, you know, a safe, into a lawyer's, and for safekeeping. And, you know, then they go on to continue to sell their tours and stuff. It's just, you know, it's kind of similar to that. And it just seems like something of this magnitude of discovery would get more respect and more accolades, you know?
Yeah, it's like, so for me, the NDA was actually the most believable part of the video because, again, my background, I've run across these things. Yeah, labs aren't going to come out and tell you what you want to hear on this kind of thing. So, like, that was almost the part was like, could I believe that some lab out there was willing to do the test, but they just didn't want to be, yeah, I'll buy it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But for me, here's the worst part of it. It's like, here's what we actually have. Let's actually take this one video in isolation. Let's remove the rest of it, right? What do we have? We have a video of a guy with something that looks like a tooth, with claiming to have verbiage from a lab.
Oh, and to kind of interject something real quick, is he didn't ask for any money to have the testing done, and I don't know how much testing, DNA testing, is needed for that, for a procedure like that. So the fact that he didn't ask for any money, you know, that I could see through like a Patreon or anything, you know, kind of shows you that it was kind of for fun in a way. So I'm sorry, I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, that's what I was saying. Like, just the video in isolation, all it is, like, but that's a great point as well. And he goes back to, it's a guy with something that claims to be a tooth with a guy who claims to have language from a lab. Like, that's all we got. Like, that's all the video is. So it's like, it's like, first blush, first of all, yeah, it doesn't look real to me because the size of the damn tooth. I'm sorry. That is insane. That is comically large. But let's again, it's like, I want to be, skepticism goes all the way. I think it's a great exercise for everybody. I'm sorry. That is like, stop to think about the size of a molar that you have in your mouth. And then stop to think about how big that, like, Gigantopithecus didn't have teeth that big. And that thing, like, this is not, yeah, that's Gigantopithecus. That's a molar from, like, compare that with the thing this guy's holding. Like, I don't know what size a creature would have to, you know, something like a primate would have to have a tooth that large. But that's monstrous.
Yeah, I mean, the number that's floating around is about 25 feet for a ape to have that size of tooth to fit in its jaw properly. Is the number kind of floating around, and but yeah, I mean, that's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that was my first thought. As soon as I saw it, I was like, no, like, that's just not something that fits in the mouth of something that's staying hidden for more than 30 seconds. But again, when it goes back to it's a video of a guy who claims to have something with a lab report or something he claims to be a lab report that he's just putting the verbiage on. Like, that's all it is. It's literally nothing. That's just a video in isolation. It's not evidence. It's not anything. It's just a thing. But like you said, when you look at the rest of the channel, you're kind of like, okay, this seems to be not someone who's really trying to hoax somebody, but he's trying to have fun with this. I don't even think he went to the problem. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even think he went as far as to make it from a deer horn. It kind of looks like you can actually get this sort of plastic stuff at
it's like resin or something, or
it's not even. Yeah, it's not even like. But yeah, I'm just saying, it doesn't even. I don't even think he went through that much trouble of actually shaving it from a deer horn. I think he did something cheap and quick.
And if it was decayed, would it not be a bit more brown around the edges? A bit more, just looks like a hole through it, doesn't it? Rather than any tarring of the color through the enamel. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a dentist.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to pay attention to is I was going to say, Jesus, it was I'll think of it. Right.
Lost it.
Totally forgot.
Um,
Point too.
yeah, it'll come back to you. I'm sure
It
it'll
will.
come back to you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it, that these things come out, and I mean, we probably shouldn't even be giving attention to it, but I
Well,
want to make a point about it of how easy.
yeah, it's good to talk about this type of stuff and to understand that, it's not people out there that are totally nefarious out there hoaxing for money and stuff, that there are people out there also having fun with the subject, and
Yeah.
to kind of be aware. And I remember what I was going to say. So, and if you look on the guy's YouTube channel, and the important thing of continual investigation, I always say, also investigate the people who are presenting the evidence as well, because you might
Mhm.
learn some more about the evidence. And it looks like he carves his own fishing lures too, custom fishing lures. So
Oh, okay.
he has a skill level, he has the tools. I'm sure he was just having a drink one night thinking, you know what I could do? I bet you I can make a Bigfoot tooth and have some fun with it. And Peter
Yeah.
Kane did a few things with some different body parts and had a lot of fun with it. And
Yeah.
and it's good that people are more
Mhm.
aware that there's a lighter side to the subject too. I mean,
Well, yeah, no, exactly. No, I think that's a great point. Not everyone who does this kind of stuff is like, is looking around like I'm going to make fools out of people and hoax the Bigfoot community. Like there are some more sinister people out there, but a lot of the
there are.
time it's just people who are like they've got a couple beers and they're like, this sounds like fun, let's go do it.
Yep.
What was it? There's that Dogman video that went a couple of years ago. They even showed on Monster Quest. It looks sort of like that big bushy monster that's on all fours running towards the camera, and like all this stuff.
The Gable films.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Where it looks like some guy is in the 70s, making home
great
films.
recreation of it. Yeah, great film.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not real.
Exactly. That's my point. It's not real. It was a guy who just wanted to have fun with the whole Dogman thing, and he was more. It was like for him, it was like folklore, and he was just trying to add something to this folk milieu. Well, the problem is people still think it's real.
Oh yeah, they don't see the additional footage of how he did it, and him being interviewed, and which is a little harder to find actually. If you think about it, they kind of research it, which I think is somewhat deliberate, because it's kind of it's kind of like one of those things where it just people would rather promote what they want it to be versus than what it actually is. Very similar to that bear saving a little boy. But
someone commented about it, and they've said, they want someone's asking them, he's saying that he needs to send it off now for carbon dating, so he's keeping the
it's an ongoing.
He's gonna, but he's effectively, conning people. He's
not asking for any money. He's not.
No.
The important thing is there's no Patreon and a Patreon link or anything. The only thing he really gets is the clicks from the YouTube, subscription. So I consider one of these the more lower grade type of things, where it's like, geez, you don't really need to take action against these type of people. You can just make them aware, hey, it's more of a parody. So I consider them the more low. The only time I really speak up are the ones that are really out fully exploiting the subject for money, and other people. That's when I'll I'll step right up and have no problem with that. But this guy, it's like, sure, you can call it hoaxing or pranking, whatever. It's just kind of what it is. It's he's just a guy having fun, and it's a good thing we're more aware of this type of stuff, and that not everything on YouTube is going to be Bigfoot.
Well, and so that's true. If he hadn't circled it he didn't circle in red, so it's not really, it's not legit.
He should have done that. That would have been great, though. That would have been a great part of it. Yeah. So
when I actually do get my Bigfoot or pterosaur footage, I'm going to circle it in red just so everyone knows that's legit.
Yeah.
But so actually for me, like you said, it's a great exercise, because not everyone, like you said, not everyone who quote unquote hoaxes people is trying to be sinister. Sometimes people having fun, and that's fine. They don't necessarily take the subject seriously, and I get that. So this is a great example of that. I think that's a great point you made. My other point is, as a thought experiment, right? I like the fact that it's sort of like, well, really deconstructed. What do you have, right? It's a thought experiment. What we have is a video of a guy with something that he's claiming is a tooth, but it's like that's all you really have. And what's worse is, of course, our jump is that must be a Bigfoot tooth that he's presenting. I would ask, do we have any reason to believe it's a Bigfoot tooth? Again, my big claim, or one of the things I've really been on for a while, is we don't know what Bigfoot is. It means we also don't know what Bigfoot isn't. We don't know if everyone is running around, like everything that people are seeing is actually Bigfoot. What if there's multiple phenomena out there, and what we think of as Bigfoot, like let's say Patty's Bigfoot, there could be some other things running around, but we're all using the same names. So even the fact that we would jump to Bigfoot I think that first failure point. It's like you don't know what that is.
Well, but I think he was implying it heavily, especially
absolutely.
with all of his previous videos. Yeah.
Well, no, absolutely was. But that's my whole point. As a thought experiment, it's sort of a great example of saying we don't really know that it's actually Bigfoot. What we know is, even if it were real, let's just suspend belief for 2 seconds that thing fit in a jaw. Great, it's a tooth. But what we have is a tooth, and if it came back with 97 to 99% human, and the rest of it's unknown. Great. We still don't actually know that that's Bigfoot. What we know is whatever that tooth belonged to was 97 to 99% human. That's all we would know. That is something that I think, just as a thought experiment, as sort of an example of how we really need to reshape our thinking. I think it's a great example for that, because it's like you don't know that it came out of a Bigfoot. What if there is something else out there? We haven't classified it. We don't even have a good solid photograph of this thing, much less to be able to say what one is or is not. Maybe there is some other creature out there that was similar dentition and similar body form, and the problem is that's why we can't decide what it is. It's exactly. Or maybe
the people man.
It's a people man. Yeah, yeah, maybe people man. Or maybe there's some giant pig out there that has teeth, and
I'm open to it. I just got to experience it and really check out the evidence myself. I mean, you're absolutely right. With that. I mean, who knows? I mean,
you don't need a lot of teeth if you've just got a couple of those big ones in your mouth, do you? So it could be somewhat smaller, but with that, but no, it's huge, isn't it? I mean, we don't know, obviously, 100%, but the feeling is that it's not real. So.
Well, it could be man bear pig. Never forget man bear pig.
That's a good possibility.
I mean, that jaw is going to be really So maybe man bear pig. That's good. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, I've heard a few of those encounters, so you never know. It could
usually the bar about 1 a.m.
Well, look, Brent, you've been out up at the Almoon lab.
I have, yeah.
And then you got your diagnosis and rushed to hospital, and that was the end of that. But anything interesting happening up there with you?
For me, particularly out at that area, nothing. The only experience that I've had at that area was prior to knowing it was the Almoon lab, and I heard a yell, which I just thought it might have been a truck's Jake brakes, just making a sound, but it sounded very similar to what they recorded, when I reflect back on it. And I know that's not good because you can rewrite your own memories in a way. But I feel that that's kind of what I heard, because there's no other, there's no freeway by there or anything. I feel confident with that. But I mean, we went out there. I talked to some of the neighbors. The place is real. The people are real. I saw a bunch of evidence off people's phones, which is fun. I saw a really interesting UFO video. It's not online. It's an interesting UFO video of because this property is like a Skinwalker Ranch-esque type of thing. Not to give it that label or whatever. It's just a spooky spot and
phenomena going on.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff. And the thing is, it's not just one person saying this or two people saying it or one property owner saying it. It's the whole area. It's a property that was owned by a prominent family in the area, like in the 1800s or whatever, 1900s. And then they slowly started to section it off. And it's like, I think it's 60 acres in all. And, so it's like a little community over that 60 acres or whatever, however big it is. And my friends happen to have 5 acres of it. And, so it's, a lot of interesting stuff going on. But, with the UFO video that I saw, it's, all I could say is what I see, you know, and you know, it looks like an orb of sorts, but in real life, they say it looks like a chandelier, and these little orb things come off of it and just kind of go off into the woods. And it's been, you know, seen multiple times out there. And I even went back up in there to see where the orbs would have been going off down there. And you know, I didn't find anything out of the ordinary, but it's a area where power lines go by it too. You know, like you know, high power lines, high energy power lines that I think come from California. So it's one of the main lines coming in.
So it's completely unused, is what I'm hearing.
It's what?
So it's completely unused if it's coming from California.
Yeah, 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 something. Or maybe it's going back that way, but a lot of power going through that area. And, you know, I don't know if that contributes to the whole strangeness of it. But I personally didn't have any experiences there. You know, my time that I was there, but I met the previous owner that owned the property where Tobe and the whole Owl Moon recordings and all this recordings on Strange Brow occurred. And, you know, seems like a legitimate person, you know, not somebody that's out there for hoaxing or attention or money. He's just like, this is just kind of what we came across. And, you know, it's open to everybody's interpretation. And, you know, and then he sold the house because his wife has a certain profession where she needs the internet, and the internet out there is terrible. There's no cell signal because it's pretty deep in the woods. There's no cell signal, and you know, the Wi-Fi comes from satellite, I think. So it's really poor. I couldn't even watch the show when I was there, and
that's the real crime.
That was the worst thing, wasn't it? Being out there.
It's just like buffering. Yeah. But you know, I met up with the previous owner, Daryl, and the new owner, who you know, they don't really want any attention from it or anything like that. And hey, right. Cool. Do you want to say hi? Did you want to say hi? Yeah. My girlfriend, she's the one who owns that.
Hi.
I was gonna say, at this point, she's got to.
There's a lot of people on there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Meet you.
Anyways, I wouldn't have known about this house or anything if it wasn't for her. It's honestly a really strange occurrence on how I got to find out about this house. It all came down to finding Bigfoot, honestly, because her friends bought this property down there, and she went down and visited. I couldn't go at that time, and she went down there, and then when she came back, you know, I started watching Finding Bigfoot. So I just put a Finding Bigfoot episode on, and she was like, "Oh my God, I was just on that road," and I'm like, "What?" And it was the one with the London Trackway, and so I'm like, "Wow, that's weird." And so when I went down there the next time, I brought up to the homeowner. I'm like, "Hey, you live right, you know, in somewhat of a vicinity, close vicinity, not close vicinity, not giving the area away, to the London Trackway." And he's like, "Oh, wow, that's cool. I just had my neighbors film a Bigfoot documentary next door when I was moving in." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, they have this 17-inch print and all this stuff." I'm like, "What? That's wild." And hope you like the narration. So I reached out to Tobe, and the first time I ever met him, and you know, I asked him because he was the only person I knew in Cottage Grove that might know of this documentary, just because I was interested, just want to know. And you know, that's when it kind of snowballed from there on. That was the property that the Owl Moon was at. You know, it's not actually the property, because the Owl Moon property is really small. The property that my friends own is 5 acres, so it's a bigger part of the property. Yeah, so it was a really strange happenstance on that whole thing coming together. Ironically, the other weird thing is Daryl, the homeowner, is good friends with Ben Freed, you know, one of the guys that I've been collaborating with recently. And we figured this all out when I was out with Ben Freed. We were out there at one of his areas, and we were just about ready to finish up for the day. And he just got an email from Tobe, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's weird that you talked to him and you know him." He's like, "No, I never met him." And Daryl was sending Tobe to Ben for some hair analysis or something, and that's how we got talking. That's how I found out Daryl was Ben's friend, that part of the whole Al Moon Lab, and a lot of strange connections to it. I don't remember if there was a question somewhere, but
I don't think there was, but that was really interesting.
that's where we went.
Yeah, it's great, and you know, it's a small world, really, isn't it? When you think
Yeah.
about it, how those connections, those guys are out there. What do you think of the audio that Toba collected, stuff like the Mystery Ladies and those?
I don't I don't know. I'd like to have some more analysis put on it, you know, and I think Steve, you know, with Curious Cryptid, I'd really like to get his interpretation on it, you know, because I really think he has some good input on it, and that stuff's kind of past my skill level. It's interesting. I don't know what to say about it. All I can say is I went there. The people are real. The place is real. It seems what is being presented. I personally didn't have a ghost come out and shake my hand. Honestly, I kind of like taunted the property in a way. It's like, oh, you know, I'm not afraid. You know, you know, what do you got, type of thing. And it showed me, like, oh yeah, hold my beer, I'll show you. Just, I'm not saying that that's what caused it, but it's an interesting place. I don't know what to make of it. I would love more people to break it down. Tobe mentioned he put it out on there on Reddit, and I didn't have a chance to go see what the Reddit thread talked about or something. So I think something like that should probably, you know, probably warrants more investigation into trying to help figure it out, you know, because maybe it is what it is, or it's another explanation. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting though, you have to admit.
Yeah. I'm just going to get your channel link to put in the chat for people who are asking. Jason, I'll hand it over to you a second.
Okay.
This.
I'm not going to do anything with it, but that's fine.
You know, okay.
So quick question. So the Owl House Labs, all the research you're doing, I guess the best question for me is, how tightly do you see the more paranormal aspects of what you're seeing? Does it seem directly tied to Bigfoot, or is it just that they're happening in the same areas, or what is your feeling in what you've done?
Well, like I said, I haven't had any sort of experiences there, but I can relay what the people have talked about, the previous owners, new owners, surrounding owners and stuff, and it seems to have a paranormal aspect. Bigfoot has been seen there. The neighbor talks about going out to his wood pile to go get some wood, and he flashed a flashlight up on a Bigfoot, and it had blue glowing eyes. You know, not that it was glowing out, but when you reflected up on it, it had a blue tint to it, apparently. You know, so there's Bigfoot activity out there with some interesting Bigfoot evidence as far as prints. When we went out to Daryl's gifting area, which is, since he sold the property, he still goes out to the public area behind the property, and he has a gifting area there, which we found this really interesting braided up, I don't even know what it is. It's just a braided thing of twine and stuff. It's really interesting. It wasn't natural. And you know, he has some interesting video of his trail cam because he put peanut butter all over a tree, just smeared it all over a tree. And in the trail cam, you could see it disappearing, but you can't see what's doing it, you know, and you can see like this little glove moving, and it's just, I don't know, it's really kind of interesting. I haven't really fully checked out all the evidence and stuff, because it's just, you know, I just really haven't had time, and there seems like there's more and more. Like when I went down there, there's like Daryl, the homeowner, he was like showing me all this stuff. He's been sending me all this stuff, and it's just a lot to absorb because they have so much data and evidence that is very compelling that I think warrants more of a look at.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely, and that's the whole point. Is do we get evidence, but we got to follow up. It's going to take long term for all this. I keep finding how often there is Bigfoot is associated with areas that have paranormal phenomena, and it just doesn't. I find that very, very odd. One of the things we're trying to do over on the Monday channel is we're trying to find a way to create a better Venn diagram sort of setup so that we can start better classifying areas, events, context, because again, I've just moved over to calling it the Bigfoot phenomenon, because again, we don't know what it is, what it isn't, and
that's what I call it, is the Bigfoot phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, because the problem is, it's like we got stuff where it looks like it's nothing more than an ape or some sort of primate. Maybe it's a human, we don't know, but it's doing very ape-like things. And then you have stuff like what you're describing, where there does seem to be other associated phenomena, and it doesn't make sense. There again, you have stories of people claiming to have seen them get on and off UFOs. Well, I mean, you can reject them out of hand. I don't think you can. I'm not saying they're real, but I am saying, the fact that we have these stories, like those stories doesn't make sense, from a normal standpoint. And the fact that we do have this overlap, I find, like you said, it just requires more research. We're just gonna have to look more into it, and I think it requires a better, again, we need to be more skeptical about some things, but we also need to say maybe, we need to figure out what it is first, then we can start calling something Bigfoot. Like, I think the problem is we put the name first, instead of saying, why don't we just see what the phenomenon actually tells us what it is?
Forget everything. Forget everything you think you know, and start with the basics, and research everything that you're going to read or attempt to believe or to consider. Don't just read it. Find out where it's from.
Yeah, when I really after that whole Bigfoot tree hoax experience, it really gave me good insight onto the importance of investigation, not just taking something for face value, but how to investigate something, and there's certain things, and there's always more information you can learn, and it's just don't take anything at face value. Investigation, it's none of us are skilled investigators. None of us went to private school or to become a private investigator or anything. So we're all kind of learning as we go. And if you restart your investigation, that's what I say, is just restart your investigation. Start fresh, new mindset, like you're talking about, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah. No, hey, look, I've seen every episode of Perry Mason, so I know what I'm doing here.
There you go.
So, exactly. No, I mean, I love Max's questions. Like, can we then support that with science? Support what? I mean, that's the problem. It's like, this is sort of the bigger problem I have with, I don't care which group it is doing which research. Like I said, I'm not even necessarily a Bigfoot guy. I saw a pterodactyl. Like I said, I'm a research guy. I'm an artist. I research artwork. That was what I was going to school for. That's what I did archaeological studies for. But the thing is, so much of this is anecdotal evidence. Okay, that's great. It doesn't make it invalid. It just means we have to recognize it for what it is. And the problem is, so then how do we, my microphone was trying to run away there. The problem with science is it is entirely dependent on being able to sort of like poke at things, right? Is it repeatable in laboratory? Is it readily observable? And the problem is we can't even figure out, like, we can't bait these creatures successfully. We can't get them on camera successfully. So, I mean, we just sort of have, my thought is, we have to take the stories. We got to do a better job of breaking them down and seeing where the overlaps are, right? Because again, it's the whole question of what is a Bigfoot? We don't know. there's so many stories that come out. And I'm like, that just sounds more human. That sounds more ape-like. That sounds more like something out of mythology or something more paranormal. And it's like, maybe we don't, we gotta just start re-asking better questions and stop labeling everything Bigfoot. And I think we kind of, this is one of the most controversial things I say on this channel. I kind of think we need to chuck so much of our lore out, right? People talk about, well, here's the stories, what people say is seen in an area. I'm sorry, that's worthless. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what
but here's the thing is a lot of people come to the Bigfoot phenomenon for those stories, for that lore, and so you're never really going to fully take it away or fully remove it from the situation where everybody's all on the same page. And I think the important thing is just to recognize that and to go forward with the people that have that same goal as you, is that want that type of I forgot what I was going to say there, but
it's okay. It's okay. We're all there. The problem is you get caught up reading the chats on the side, and it gets. I get lost half the time anyway. I don't even know where I am right now. But exactly. Like, I mean, it is what it is. You know what? I'm just sitting here missing the Super Bowl, so I'm just gonna.
I just want to thank everyone who's watching us tonight and is not watching the Super Bowl, or those even who are watching it with the volume down and listening to the show. For those who aren't, who are watching the Super Bowl and have got the volume down, there's no point in saying anything to you because you won't hear. But apparently it's the best game of the year with the best teams that won from the other games. I don't follow stuff like that.
Yeah. I used to love football. I love it, and big Seahawk fan. But I just fell out of love with it like real quick. It's just actually one of the big things was one of my favorite quarterbacks, Joe Montana, talked about how he can barely walk now and has all these health issues from playing and the CT type of issues, the brain issues. And it's like, it's hard to support, something so brutal that causes so much damage to people. And, I don't know, I just kind of lost interest in it.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm actually, again, I'm a Texan, born and bred. We used to watch, it was every Sunday. I honestly, I fell out like 20 years ago. I'd still watch the occasional game, but it got smaller and smaller for me. What did it is I was working in at FedEx office years and years ago. We're in the third shift, and I talked to a woman whose husband used to play professional football. I forget who he was. He wasn't anybody big, but he was main. People knew who he was. And she mentions, and we got to talking, and she talks about how they were sending him a form every year. And at the top of the form, it said, it was about tracking, the form was about tracking health, right? They were tracking the health of every player who's ever played. But at the top of the form, it said, please fill this out. If you are incapable of filling out, have your legal guardian fill this out. And she was like, and she talked about all of the long-term health issues that all of his friends had. And I mean, for me, like right there with you, it's like even before the whole concussion issue came up, like I was like these, as a Christian, I was just like, you know what? I don't know that I can sit here and be all up on the fact these people are destroying their bodies for entertainment, right? I mean, there are people who, whose bodies are destroyed from work. I get that. My father was one, right? But at the same time, there are things that are necessary, and then there's entertainment. Having people damage and basically destroy the last 30 years of their life, so we can have fun, kind of fell out of favor with me. So, and then of course we have the whole political crap that's going on, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't even have time for it.
That was just like the other thing that was just like, make it a lot easier to walk away from, and I'm okay with it. And it's just that's, I guess that's what got me today.
Yeah.
It's just the thing about the Super Bowl is that you're calling it football, but you're using a rugby ball.
Oh, okay. This is gonna be the British thing, isn't it?
It's the wrong shape. You can't call it football because the football's the round ball. The soccer. We don't call it soccer. But what? So do you have rugby as well?
No, we also don't have scones.
We have soccer.
You don't have
Yeah.
tea at 2:00
Yeah, no.
every afternoon. Oh,
Yeah. Well,
okay.
and usually, and I'll be honest, children play soccer. We don't really consider soccer a real sport.
Yeah,
Because it's not. Yeah, it's. I'm sorry. When the biggest character in soccer worldwide is that stupid octopus that was picking the winners. I'm out. I'm sorry.
Well, it goes to show you how smart octopuses are.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if they picked up the winner.
I'm like Jean. I would not be caught dead watching sports. Literally, I just don't find it interesting at all. And there's a thing that happened when I was a kid when my brother used to babysit me when my parents went to work, and he always said I could watch the late horror film, but he'd have to watch the football first. That was the deal. But the sound of the crowd used to make me fall asleep. It was like almost ASMR kind of thing going on. And he'd wake me up like halfway through the second part of the horror film, and it was just like, no, this is bad memories from sports. So yeah, I don't do it. But each their own. Something.
Hold on. There was a comment about not putting Bigfoot and football together. I'm sorry. I think if you could get Bigfoot in a football team, that team would kill. Like, I mean, imagine
it's probably gonna be a movie soon.
Exactly. It's like get the ball to that Bigfoot, and he's just gonna run it in. That's all I'm saying.
They don't run together. No. You'd need a bigger ball as well, wouldn't you? You'd need a bigger ball.
He wouldn't drop it. I mean, could you imagine trying to strip the ball from the Bigfoot? Just saying.
Just wreck it. Keep saying he shouldn't, because that's another thing, isn't it? The sensitive creatures. I don't know.
Yeah, we could probably let female Bigfoot play. I don't think you wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah. So we're going all over the place tonight, but that's anything goes, and it's the way it goes. And now I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but something sad happened.
Yes.
Was this last week? I think actually, Jason.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So prayers and thoughts out to David and his family. Mental health. It's a silent killer. So if you know someone, just reach out to them, or everyone's battling something. We don't always see it, do we? But people know there's somebody out there. I don't know. It's a sad one, isn't it?
That is.
It really is.
Yeah.
What have you got coming up, Brent? Are you going to go back out now that you're recovering? Have you got any plans?
Yeah, I got a lot of different things I'd like to do. A lot depends upon the weather. It's February, so it's the areas that I like to go are kind of inaccessible. So yeah, I'm not really kind of sure for this, particular month, but yeah, for springtime, summer, want to, my big focus this year is going to be audio recording. I learned a lot from Ben and Curious Cryptid with Steve, and I really think that that's the way to go. And so I have this area that I really think is a prime habitat for Bigfoot. I think if they're anywhere, they're in this particular area. It's such a good area as far as historically and everything. And so, I'm going to go find out what's out there by setting up all these audio recorders and kind of do the due diligence of, setting them up, going out there, checking them, reviewing the data, and I want to make it a crowd thing. So it's to help, because, it's going to be a lot of stuff to go over. So I'm just going to post everything online, and whoever wants to help can help out. And, the more we get helping on it, maybe the more information we can learn. And, and we're doing that down in Ben's area, particularly because he's been investigating in this area for 8 to 10 years down south from where I was originally talking about down by Mount Rainier. And, you know, we want to kind of do the same thing, set up an array to really, you know, collect the most amount of information. And if anybody's out there that's investigating the Bigfoot phenomenon that does go out into the woods, I recommend that you look into the audio recording, because, you know, it's a good way to find out what's going on into an area when you're not there. Because honestly, we're not there most of the time. You know, a lot of us are weekend warriors and only able to put so much time in the actually out in the field. And so this is a good way to find out what's going on when you're not there. Trail cams work good too, but fortunately, trail cams have this small sliver of window of catching that potential thing, which it's like a needle in a haystack at that point, you know. So yeah, I'm going to focus on that this spring and summer, and you know, document that and share the experience, so maybe other people can go do the experience in their area, and maybe we can all, somebody will get that definitive information or that the evidence. Because for me, you know, your success is our success. So whoever is out there getting that success is great for all of us. The more we can help each other out to kind of stay at that top level of, you know, not wasting our time on a tooth or something that, you know, we can't even verify as Bigfoot or not. We're instead going to focus on active investigation of following up on this sound. What are we going to do, and that type of thing. And you know, so I want to try and, you know, going forward, try and document that better and that whole process. So again, because I think, you know, well, a lot of the stuff I do is just more tag along adventures. You know, it's like who's ever meeting that day or that week or whatever I'm doing type of thing. So
on your phone, you know, on your camera, do you have more options? And there's one called slow mo. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah. I don't use my camera phone.
No, but I mean, have you ever looked at it?
Oh yeah.
So you know how it works. I know you press it at the moment you want it to go slow, but it's actually recording 3 or 4 seconds before it happens. And I think if trail cams worked like that, where when you put it onto that option, it's just recording. It's recording all the time. You don't realize it, and then you press it because you want the slow-mo bit, and it gives you 2 seconds or 3 seconds either side to show it going normal, slow, and normal. But it must be deleting itself all the time. I wish trail cams worked like that, because it's obviously not going to record until it gets triggered.
Yeah.
But you're missing that vital half a second, it could be. I just think that's an interesting thing to.
That's true. Yeah.
That would make a difference, I think.
Yeah, you know, it's just little things like that. You know, I just think because, you know, I don't know if Bigfoot's real. I can't say for sure. I've seen one. I've had a lot of, you know, what people would say Bigfoot experiences and stuff. You know, I just can't confirm it. But I was going to say again. Jeez.
I knew what I mean for you. Obviously, for you, you're not questioning anybody out there who's seen them. You're just saying for you personally.
Oh yeah.
You can't say they're real because you've not seen one. A little bit like me. Not that I don't believe in them. I just, you know, you have to see these things. For me,
I think that's I mean, for me, that I would really love to see one. For like the last many years, me and my buddy Cosmo, we would just go wander the woods where they're supposed to be, and we've come across the craziest stuff, and you know, found some crazy stuff too. And but you know, I never ran into one. I never had that direct experience because I don't think I'm ever going to sneak up on a Bigfoot. I don't think I'm ever going to one up one. You know, I think what I'm going to focus on going forward is just collect data, find out when and where they are. You know, you should have Ben Fried back on, because he has a lot of good information that he's collected on when and where they are in certain areas, which is really valuable information, because you can go put yourself in the right situation at the right time, you know, and you know, and he has it all broken down very well, which really kind of got me into the whole recording and seeing the huge benefits in it. You know, it's you know, it's awesome to have, you know, to, you know, collaborate and learn from people like that.
Something you said that I think is invaluable. You said their success is our success. one of the things that I find very disturbing or troubling is just we seem so hyper competitive in this.
Yeah.
And like this is like everyone needs to understand this is not a competition. We're all trying to build something here. This is cooperative, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm out there and I find, let's say they just walk up and I'm like, oh, hi. And he's like, yeah, my name's Daryl. Here's my other brother, Daryl. Right. I'm not going to be like, yay, I'm the best Bigfooter ever. Because let's face it, ain't none of us going to do this because we're the best Bigfooter ever. It's like, if I find them, I'm probably not going to be looking for them. I'll be honest. I'll probably find them doing something else. Right. Because that's how it works. If you're looking for them, you're not going to find something. I'm going to be looking for my keys or something. And they'll be like, here they are. Oh, well, thank you, Bigfoot. But it's like, it's not my success, it's the community's success.
Mm-hmm.
Because ain't none of us doing this on our own. If it was easy enough to go and find these, we would have found them by now. At this point, we got to be more cooperative. We can't just keep tearing each other down. We got to actually build each other up and build the information so we can figure out this phenomenon and get some real answers.
Yeah, I mean that's very true. It's very important to collaborate with like-minded people. You know, you got to avoid the people who are out for themselves, the ego-driven type of people, and because they're just going to disrupt the investigation no matter what. And you know, like I feel like the people that I'm collaborating now on a regular basis are really, they have the same goals as me, same passion, same, you know, they want the same as I do to get more information, to find out. And they also understand that, you know, it's going to be better, you know, working in groups with people versus just by yourself, especially when you collaborate. Now, the important, or something to point out, is in this subject with Bigfoot researchers, in some ways it's kind of like a brand, you know, like for a business. So, you know, they want to promote their brand, their channel. So that's where things start to get competitive, and where things really start to unravel for that group, you know, that group dynamic that you want. But you could still have that brand and that individual person, or be your own brand and stuff, and still collaborate with other groups. And you know, that's something that I try to promote, is like, you know, it's like, you know, I could be me, and I collaborate with Curious Cryptid, with Ben Freed, and all these different people, and you know, just help creating that just that whole community of, you know, those like-minded people. And that's what people should really look for if they're going to, you know, really investigate this. Is you're going to need help. You can't do this by yourself, but you know, you should find people that have the same goal, passion that you do. They might not have the same skill level. They might not even have the same belief. Like, honestly, I collaborate with people who have a completely different belief. I'm open to everything, and we both are adults. You know, me and the other person are adults, and so it's like they respect that. You know, where I'm at in my belief system, and I respect what they believe. We go out and continue to investigate. You know, they do it in their way, I do it in my way, but the goal is still the same, of, you know, trying to get to the results. You know, because I've tried to research with, you know, the apers, or the, you know, the people who are, you know, whatever, and you know, a lot of ego-driven people in all the subject. That's why it's important. You need to identify the people you want to work with, and just go do that, and you know, work as a team, and really define it early on. You know, like a mission statement, like what's the goals of the group, what do we want to achieve, and that we are all okay with you know, like throwing in all the information, like all the evidence and stuff I collect. I have no problem sending it off to, you know, whoever or whatever, because you know, you don't want that person to go in and get the evidence and go out and be like, oh, look, I discovered Bigfoot, and this is Bigfoot right here, and you know, next thing you know, it was a barred owl or something, you know, and you know, just, you know, there's a certain process that the way that this should go, and you know, I think the more that people stick with that, and focus on that, and collaborate with those people, I think we'll make more progress going forward, because the truth is out there, you know, waiting for us to find. We just have to, you know, get ourselves in the right conditioning to go find it, and to have the mindset to know what we're kind of looking at, and we're not wasting our time on something that has absolutely nothing to one of the many thousands of rabbit holes in this particular subject. because that's the worst.
I think that's happening though, isn't it? That those people are connecting together.
They
Those
are.
groups
Mhm.
are doing it. You're doing it. We're doing it on our end, and
Mhm.
it is all coming together very organically. I
Yeah.
feel.
And the thing is, it's we can't expect everybody to go along with it, and we have to respect that and understand it and not get discouraged by it, because the people that we surround ourselves with, we know those are going to be good people that are the same goals as us, and they're going to help us achieve what we want. We don't need everybody. We just need the right people around us. And I agree. You're surrounding yourself with them. I'm surrounding myself with them. The other people that I'm working with are surrounding themselves with them. And the more and more it grows to, to something that I think will be more conducive of what we need to do to make progress in this subject.
And I think that's great to keep the individuality of all of us as well, because then we're all accountable rather than becoming a community with one leader who speaks for all. And then it starts, the cover-ups start, the transparency gets blurred. And this way, but if you stand by what you believe in, and you want to, go forward with this subject and look for education and knowledge rather than just spreading the same old BS around, then this is the way to do it. So, what I was going to say, I just there was a question here, and guys, just in case any of you are new here, we do if you can put the questions in caps, and then I can see them a lot easier. I know Max likes to just write in caps all the time, but he's been good tonight.
Just because
he's been good tonight. Yeah, he's not shouting, and he wasn't last night. He was just excited, I think. The question was, and I think Steve.
Although he has been talking a completely different language. Probably one of those. He's been talking a completely different language today. With
he was tonight. He was in
with Olin Thorson.
Yeah, they were doing that last night.
Curious Cryptid did have a question about trail cams.
Yeah, and you said this, but then the trail cams will burn the batteries in a day or less. With my idea of it constantly running, and then Linda Bennett says, "What about solar panels?"
Yeah, you could probably adapt the trail cam to hook up to an auxiliary battery pack that is powered by by solar panels, But then it's like Bigfoot's going to see all that and be like, "What is this? I'm going the other way," type of thing too. So you'd have to hide it really well. But I mean, I guess that would be an option.
One thought I've had for a long time.
I don't believe you, Max. I don't
buy it either.
No.
One thought I've had though is actually setting up a camera inside a home, right? Someone who's having activity in the property, set up the camera like just a webcam or to a camera, something very simple, but set it up inside, just plugged in. That way, just have it running out. Just have it and just review it, whenever you get a chance. Because I think I'm of the opinion the most success we're going to have is not us going to them, but them coming to us, coming to a location like a store where they're maybe, that they feel safe coming and dumpster diving out of, or if there's a home that they're visiting often, set up the camera on the inside of the home. So there's nothing on the exterior, passive, no IR. I think that's going to be where we get our chance, versus, running around the forest yelling, "Here, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, Bigfoot," with all of our cameras. I don't think that's going to work.
Patrick just had his steak dinner, I think he's had tonight. There's no hiding electronics in the woods from Squatch. So did Christopher Noel not try it with that big long cable? I mean, how long was that cable? Did anybody watch his Impossible Visits? Anybody? No. He wanted to permanently record, and he ended up putting a really long cable out. I don't know how long it was, but it was long. I think I need to get more information before I start talking about things.
Well, was it a trail cam he put out?
Something like that, hidden in some bark on a tree. and he had this. It might have been to a battery. Well, it can't have been to a battery, but it was this huge cable. Does anybody know? Anybody watch Christopher Noel's Impossible Visits? It was a while ago, but I'll find it and send it you. Yes, he did. He did, didn't he, Max? It was a really long cable. It can't have been from his house, was it? Because he just wanted permanent electricity, I think. So, yeah, I wish I knew the whole story. Then that would make.
Well, as far as like electronics out in the forest, Ben has had success collecting audio, and that's electronic right there, and so I don't know if it's maybe certain electronics or who knows. I mean, but that's one thing.
There you go. From Strangeland, he ran a very long cable and never heard anything for almost a year till he removed it. So,
Could be
thank
something
you,
cool.
Ruger. Yeah, I mean, it did look a bit suspect. It wasn't really buried or anything. I think it just covered like leaves over it or something. And so,
Yeah, I honestly I don't even have a trail cam. I mean, I want to get one and stuff, but my goal is to go out there and try to bring them in and try to create an environment that they might feel more comfortable in being in, with as far as no flashlights, no campfires, no unpredictable light source, and hopefully have the interaction that I personally want. Like I say, my goal isn't to go out and prove it. I mean, if I can and collect evidence to help, that'd be great. But my goal is to see one, to get a confirmation past that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll lose interest in the subject. Maybe I'll get more interested. Maybe I'll be scared out of the woods. Maybe, who knows? Interested to find out.
You could try, where's it gone? You could try EMF shielding. I don't know what that means.
It's something I'm playing with as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going low tech. I'm going to try and collect where they are, when they are, as far as audio goes, and then just go put myself in a situation, honestly, with no real gear other than like little ambient lights, so I can maybe kind of see a little bit, and then just let them come in. And I don't think that they're going to kill me or hurt me or anything. I don't think so.
But they may be lonely.
That is true. It is inconclusive, and I'm not looking to prove anything. What I'm doing is looking to collect data of what's going on in the area, so I can go maybe collect that better evidence. It's just part of the whole process of the investigation. It's a good tool. It's not the one-all, end-all type of thing.
No, useful insight, obviously, for stuff.
It's how you use that data. My goal isn't to go on there on YouTube and create a video and show everybody, look, I got to yell, everybody, yay. My goal is to figure out where these things are and when they are, so I can go be there, so I can say hi to them. Pretty much, that's my goal.
And I think
audio
we do need
the best way.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great idea, because one of the problems I've had with the way we're currently doing it is we get a report, we go out and we look at the report in the area, and then we go camp out in that area. And I'm like, but don't we know it's not there? Because if it was seen there, it's moving. What we need to do is be able to take all the information and into a usable pattern to see if we can predict some sort of migratory pattern, which they clearly have.
Yeah,
and so we can be on the front end, so they can come to us.
Yeah, and Ben Fried was a really good example for me on how he used that data to create those patterns, and how valuable it was, because it seems like he's having activity out there. I personally haven't seen one out there or anything, but we've collected some really interesting stuff out there, just in the short time I've been there. But yeah, it's an awesome way to do it. A big step of, an investigation is a multifaceted approach, not just one approach with a game cam or just audio or anything like that. It's you use all these different tools, if you have them at your resource. I know drone or Pat's going with the drones and stuff, which I think is going to be great. I mean, that's going to be, that's awesome, especially with the technology that they have coming out with. I sent them a link that the new search and rescue has this technology, so it can actually see through the tree canopy. And so it's,
Really?
It's just getting better and better. Yeah, I'll go ahead and send it to you. It's just getting better and better with technology, and I think there's going to be a point where Pat's just going to be able to follow them up and down where they go. He's a licensed pilot, which is important in this field when you're dealing with this type of stuff. Because you don't want to get into a situation where you illegally filmed a Bigfoot and having the government seize it. That would be the worst thing, and the next thing, that footage is gone forever. Because many people might not realize that it's illegal to film in like national parks and stuff. It's just the national forest area, so you can't use that footage.
No. Well, look, yeah, Pat's idea is interesting, and we'll all have to get together and then talk about it a bit more again. But thanks for coming on tonight, Brent.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I've just put Brent's link back in the chat, and I'll put it in the description as well for after the show. Go and have a look at what he's doing and the way he thinks and the way he processes things, and it's really interesting and a good way to look at this subject. So yeah, and Jason, go on, Brent.
Oh yeah, and something I want to try and do more this year is to collaborate with more people. Not only do the boots on the ground research, but I want to go to other people who I feel are have something to show us, something that we could learn from. And so I want to do that this year as well, and just go to various people and kind of go out with them, and it's like a kind of how-to video of how they do it and stuff, so we can all kind of get a good sense of how an investigation should ran by all these different perspectives of people who are having success out there, and so that's one of the things doing here.
If you're out there and you've got a little channel and you're looking for Bigfoot, and you're finding stuff, or and you don't put it on YouTube, and you want to talk to someone about it, then I've had lots of people on my channel recently that you can reach out to, people like Brent, Gary, and Leon, and Pat, who'll all give you honest opinions about what you're finding, maybe. And if you're doing it on your own, you really do need to find a buddy, find someone to express your opinions with, to get some feedback, and to keep you grounded with stuff. And
I wish I had that coming into this subject when I came into the subject about 5 years ago, because I was very naive. I was very blindly open to everything, because I was like, okay, I'm going to go check this subject out. I gave myself the okay to do it. It's a taboo subject, and I needed a hobby and stuff, and I believed everything. And it's just you learn how and why you shouldn't go that route. And I wish I had and listened to people who tried to show me, and it's a really interesting, that whole thing's just really interesting. But yeah, it's important to understand that we're all on a journey. It's a learning journey, especially when we're getting into the subject. That maybe the stuff that we're learning isn't actually true, and maybe the people that are presenting it aren't actually right. And I found that a lot of stuff that's being presented right now is not actually right. It's just people's opinion, maybe unintentionally, putting that out there, or they might think it's Bigfoot, and some of them probably don't think it's Bigfoot, and just do it for hoaxing. But we have to understand that there's, like this tooth guy, there's just a big spectrum out there, and that we have to understand every video we come across isn't actually going to maybe really be Bigfoot. So we should have a tool list of sorts of how we're going to go through and vet that video. Okay, I could see there's a red flag already because he's not going to release this. And we'll be able, the more we learn, the bigger that tool list will come, especially if we talk to other people who already have that tool list. That's how I learned. That's how I got where I'm at. It's not like I went out there and self-educated myself on all this. I learned from other people because I put my ego aside and be like, teach me what you know. And the stuff that I was learning, I was like, wow, that's true. Actually, this is a really good way of looking at it. And my belief in Bigfoot, of me wanting it to be real, was no longer getting in the way of what I wanted.
And what a lot of people probably won't know about Brent that I know is that you yourself got fooled But in a situation, completely, you fell hook, line, and silk, selfishly, and you weren't, very happy about that. And when I met you, quite angry, outspoken. You didn't take any crap. I mean, you were direct. You were, and that's the effect that being duped can have on you, because someone very close to him did it to him. And if you go on his channel,
well, not just me, but a whole bunch of people, even well-known people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But to you particularly, because you were close to this person, and that you were completely fooled. And this is what happens: the effect, the knock-on effect of us just believing what we're being told, to suddenly find out it's a complete and utter load of rubbish. It's not a nice feeling. And this is why Brent, especially, is cautious, and he's being very careful. And there's nothing wrong with that, because anybody can pull the wool over your eyes. And we actually don't even know each other. We have to we're building a trust here with people who I've personally will never, hopefully one day we'll meet you, but I've never met any of you yet. But you have to start trusting somewhere. And if you're going to start with here and the channels that come out, that are coming here, and sort of the ripple effect from that, there's lots of us out there. But go and check out his channel, and you'll see, go and look for the tree, and find out the story about that, and you'll understand why Brent does this and why he's got the outlook that he's got. And we should all take a little bit from Brent and learn to be like that, because there's no harm in it. There's absolutely no harm in it. You can still believe what you want to believe, but just step back and think a little.
That's why I always say restart. If you're going to investigate this subject and you're getting into it, just stop right now, restart your investigation with everything you think you know, everything you think you believe, and go into it with a fresh start. This tree incident was that start for me. It restarted my investigation, because I saw how stupid I was for falling for it.
I've just posted the link to the tree video, so people there's a clue. It's in the chat.
But it was that learning experience. It was a teachable moment for me, and I was mad about it only because of the stuff that they were doing to try and protect this hoax. That was getting into the personal life of online shenanigans. There's a whole backstory to that of the insanity that you can find within this subject can make a whole show upon itself. But the one thing I try to do is just, I don't want anybody to go down the same fate that I went on. I want somebody to go out there and find out what Bigfoot it is and get us the evidence. So if I can at least help in my way by telling my story and maybe doing it this way, maybe it'll help inspire somebody to go out and, keep it up at that level of game, to go out there and get that evidence and not waste their time on these little things that we shouldn't waste our time on. And maybe that person will be out there to get us that evidence, because it doesn't matter who gets it. What matters is that we get it, and the evidence that we get has been taken properly, and it's vetted out properly, and it's good and solid, because like I say, their success is our success.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, guys, we've gone over our hour. Ooh, it's okay.
I can ramble a lot.
Yeah, me too. I'm not going to turn into a pumpkin just yet. Jason, go and check out Jason, Not Another Bible Study. The link is in the description, as always. Once again, thanks, Brent. Thanks, Jason. Thanks to everybody in the chat and everybody watching, and all the new subs that I've had recently. Thank you very much for coming to check me out, and I hope you're enjoying the stuff that I'm putting out.
Well, you're having great discussions. I think you're having some of the best discussions and most important discussions that we should be having in this type of podcast format. You're doing a really good job, and I highly encourage you to just kind of keep doing with what you're doing, and because I think it's making an impact, and it's really helping people grow in their own investigations and learning how to better go about the situation. And you have great guests on.
Thank you.
And you have an amazing co-host.
It's all for Jason, really. Without him, everything goes to poop.
None of it would be.
Like the garbage fire that was last week.
Oh yeah. uh, Jason, it's grown organically, and the people
That's
have come
important.
together organically. Nothing's been forced. That's what I love about it all, is that we're all connecting for the right reasons. We're being drawn together for the right reasons. Drawn to Jason, obviously, his beard and everything, and he's like a magnet. But yeah, it's all good, and you know, it's not just me; it's everybody here that's important. Everybody,
We're
you,
all
Jason,
part of it.
everybody in the chat who make all this worth doing, because you know, with your support as well and your feedback, we need that too. So anyway, guys, have a great Sunday evening. I'm going to go to bed now. I'm going to see you in the week. But up until then, everyone take care and good night.